Konnichiwa, bonjour, namaste, assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. I hope you're well today. We've got a very special guest on today, and she's on for two reasons, really. Deirdre, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Ken, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really great, thank you. I'm grateful that you've come on the show, and I hope we can get you some business as well from our lovely local customers. Because
great,
Deirdre, there are two reasons Deirdre's on the show today. One, because she's a lovely local person. She's a Norbury native, and we recently sold a house, and we wanted to talk through what happened. The background behind me is Deirdre's last house, the one that we needed her to fall out of love with, so she could fall in love with her new one. And we had quite a journey, didn't we, Deirdre?
Yeah, it was an absolute nightmare.
I think when we first spoke, you were on holiday and on the market with another agent, weren't you? Is that how it started?
Yeah, exactly. I put it on the market at the beginning of June with a different agent. And yeah, I luckily got away in, I think, the end of June, July. But from the beginning of June to August, when I kind of went on board with you, I had terrible luck with a different agent, which I won't mention. But,
you were actually quite you felt quite defeated at that point to me. It really did feel like you felt like you'd never move.
I just felt like I don't know whether it was because it was a small property. It wasn't, it's a two bed. I just felt like they weren't giving it much attention.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, we've got you on the books now. Maybe we'll get a viewing. Maybe we won't. When I start talking to them about should I drop the price? They were very vague about whether it would work or whether it wouldn't. It was all very hit and miss. And then when we were away, we had left them our keys, obviously, and they were telling us about viewings, but not giving us any feedback. So they were, it was like we were trying to get information from them all the time, but they weren't actually telling us anything. And then the last straw was when I contemplated dropping the price again, but I said I need to speak to my husband first. This was I was away at this time, but I wasn't sure I was going to drop it. I was just like, maybe I should drop it again. So, and then I was on the phone with a different agent because I was shopping around. I was really unhappy with them, and the other agent said, "Oh yeah, it's already been dropped." He got it up on. I hadn't actually confirmed. I said, I'm going to talk to my husband and we'll make a decision. And within about 5 minutes, they dropped it they weren't listening to me.
They just did it.
They just did it without me. And then I sent them, I decided I wouldn't continue the contract. And I basically said, okay, can you drop the keys back? And they said, yeah, you can come down to the agent and you can come and collect them.
They wouldn't even drop your keys back.
Wouldn't even drop the keys back, and we'd spent 2 months. Yeah, that's when I met you.
Yeah, I know, and it was lovely. It was a pleasure, and at the time, I could hear the frustration and the upset in your voice, and how you needed to move because of your two lovely boys, and you were running out of space there. And when we first met, the first thing we started with was actually a project on how can we make your house as appealing as possible, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and that was great for me. And I'm just going to duck out the way now so people can see your lovely house and how we presented it in the end, because I actually think that, can I get out of the way here? Yeah. And you could see there we got the flowers, and the thing about it was that those two boxes at the front, I think at the time they were bright red, weren't they?
They were. I tried to match them with the front door, but it hadn't gone very well.
Yeah, and they just out of place, didn't they? They just jumped out.
And I was trying to make them look like something, but you really just need to hide them because they're not like a feature.
Certain things pop, don't they, on camera, and that's what we agreed. And then with a few flowers and with the whole thing straightened up, we really did get quite a response, didn't we?
Oh, it was really nice. Yeah, I mean, we got a buyer on the first. She was the first viewing, so it just took a while from when that happened, but still. It was. I could see straight away. I mean, we weren't given any advice. We did a certain amount ourselves. Like I Googled what you should do before with the other agent, before I'd gone with you. I was like, what should you do to set? So I had got rid of a lot of the clutter and all that. But when you came around, you were giving advice on like the front of the house because that's what they see. And, there was loads of things that I had felt maybe should be fixed, but they were like, no, that would, if a buyer wants to buy it, they'll buy it. If they were, but I kind of instinctively felt that they needed to be done. But then when you came around, you were like, okay, this needs, and it looked so different the second time round. I felt way more positive about it the second time around, you know.
And it felt really good for us as well, because when you've got a proactive client like you, I don't know why more agents don't take advantage of it and say, well, look, actually, there are things we can do here. We didn't spend much money, did we? It wasn't about money. But it was about presentation, and it was about understanding what people are going to see first of all, how we can maximize the appeal of it, and how that will make a difference when you're competing, because this is a competition, you know. You're not in the market on your own in isolation. People are asking themselves how you compare with other properties out there. And we got that balance just about right. And then we had quite a long run, didn't we, of actually going through with the chain and everything else. It's been a long haul, wasn't it?
I think I was kind of unlucky. I mean, I don't know. It was it was the pandemic as well. I mean, I think, but I don't even think it was just that. It was just, I was unlucky with, well, I mean, the 2 months before were completely wasted, I felt, from June to August. That was just, so like we made the decision last May and we sold in March. Are you there? I think I've lost him. Igor, I've lost him. Why are you laughing? Are you watching me? I've lost him. He can't hear me. Okay. I don't know what happened there, Ken. Oh, shit.
Had a bit of a technical issue there, Deirdre.
Oh, hold on.
You're still there, but I've lost your visual.
Are you there?
I'm there. We're live again.
I hope you didn't hear me like saying a few expletives.
No, not at all. But I can't see you. Can you enable your camera again? I think we've lost your camera.
Oh, hold on. No, I don't want full screen. Hold on. Let me see. Can I get the camera back on? Sorry.
It's all right. Part of being live, the fun of being live. A few technical hitches. It's all fun.
I didn't touch the camera. Okay, got it.
Right. Okay. You're back and live on screen now, and I've put the link to your website as well on screen now, Deirdre.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll talk about that in a moment. But I just, one of the things that we spoke about originally was that you're in love with your little house, and sometimes you just need to fall out of love by definition with the one you're living in to fall in love with a new one. It's not just about the money, is it? It's quite an emotive thing that we do.
Yeah, it was weird because I was selling and I had such a link to that house, like emotionally, that I kind of felt like, no, I'm really happy here. I love the neighbors were nice. It's a big open space at the front. So once I made that decision we made the decision that I wanted to move, the kids were just getting too big. We were forcing them being teenagers, and where are we all going to be, because it's like one room basically downstairs. Yeah. And then from that point on, it was quite frustrating because I felt like I fell out of love with it immediately when it went on the market. I suddenly just didn't want to be there anymore. And I couldn't even contemplate the idea of it not selling. Because I was just like, oh God, now that I have my eye on something else, because we'd already found another place, and I was seeing the potential in just having a bigger house, all you can do, because with kids, you're so limited when you have a 2-bed. You're just like, we couldn't build an attic in that one. We were trying, but you don't have the height space. So we kept trying different ways to make it more livable, but I was so once we'd chosen the other house, once it had gone on the market, I just wanted it gone then. I'd no patience. Well, I had to because it went on for so long, but
I think actually you were very patient. I think you had a very tough time of it. Unfortunately, you chose an agent that wasn't very proactive initially.
Yeah.
I'm very glad you came on with us, because I feel like we made a friend over time here. You know, the guy said to me, because we were speaking to you literally at some points on a daily basis, you know, when the transaction ended, you know, the guys here, Caroline particularly, was like, oh, I'm going to miss Deirdre and her phone calls every day, you know. And it was lovely.
It was like I knew Caroline. She came in on those days. I was like, I have to wait till that day. But it was an ordeal. It really, really was. Because what I felt was like there was loads of weekends that it looked like it was going to happen. So it would be Monday, and Caroline or you would be thinking, if this goes well this week, I don't see why by Friday we shouldn't be a step closer. But every Friday came and we still hadn't reached that. Something else went wrong.
And I know emotionally that was very, very hard for you. And that's never lost on me, is that, you know, people think about it as, you know, it's just a pure transaction, but it's so much more than that, isn't it? Because it's your whole life here. It's your boys, it's your husband, it's your comfort.
Like if we hadn't have sold, if it had went wrong at the end, people were telling me, you know, like you're healthy, which obviously I know we've lived through all the last year. So I know in terms of life and death, it's not, but it feels really emotional to you. And when you've made that decision that you feel like you're going to have a step further in your life, like a different kind of life, and it's going to be good for so many reasons, that like a family from Ireland and Italy coming to visit, we couldn't, whenever we had family, a lot of the time they'd stay in B&Bs, or they might sleep on a blow-up bed, or it was limited. People wouldn't be able to come over and think I can stay with Deirdre and Igor, because it'd be, where are we gonna stay, or, you know, it just and it was all those thoughts of like, oh, maybe when things get better, people can come over and have a room, and things that I couldn't do back then.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, for me, it was, there were points through the transaction when it felt like you'd almost lost hope. And we were like, don't worry, Deirdre, this is going to happen. And you were really kind of, you know, I could feel how heavy it weighed on you. And quite often I say to buyers and sellers exactly what you said, that, you know, when all's said and done, the worst thing that can happen here is that you're still living in the home that you've enjoyed for the last few years. And I know that's not what anyone wants, but by the same token, as you rightly say, just to get some perspective back on it and breathe, you know. And I think actually, I remember saying to you, coming back to your singing, Deirdre, by the way, is a fantastic singer. Her website is on screen now. I do encourage you to employ her. And if you don't believe me, just have a listen. Just go on to some of the songs. She blows your mind. Absolutely brilliant. And well worth booking her for your special occasion or event. Because I know it's not just about, it's definitely not about money for Deirdre. It's a passion. And in fact, she plays the piano as well. And one of the things I said to her a couple of times is, after we'd had conversations that were very stressful, if I were you, I'd go now, play the piano, get in your zone. And you went away and did that, and it helped you, didn't it?
It help, Sometimes I just couldn't. I'd be like, yeah, thanks, Ken, that's great. Yeah, but I just couldn't get into that. I couldn't get into that space. So other times I did kind of push myself, and it did help. Yeah, it did. I just feel like I was lucky finding you guys, because you were so great from start to finish. But I was unlucky in different things. Like, I had a bit of a nightmare with my solicitors, and they were delaying things. Like they weren't answering some inquiries that the buyer had made, but they weren't telling me that they weren't answering them. So it looked like there was maybe some issues, and they weren't even communicating, and that delayed it by 2-3 weeks, just purely by a guy deciding that I don't think that's a valid inquiry, so I'm not going to answer it. But I won't tell the person I'm working for that I'm not going to answer it.
And that they were incompetent, weren't they? Let's be totally honest about this. And, you know, they're on our banned list, actually, Deirdre. You'll be glad to know. We can't mention the company name, of course.
No,
they are on the JA banned list.
Really bad. Like they weren't prepared the day of exchange. The guy who'd been dealing with my case from day one had suddenly disappeared, and they weren't even assigning me a new person. And they hadn't looked for the redemption statement from the mortgage company, even like after we exchanged. Everything that they were supposed to do. I was literally ringing them, and then ringing my old mortgage company, like saying, did you get that? No, we haven't got that. We haven't. I was doing my own, like.
You did. You virtually did your own conveyancing.
Yeah, I basically did, but I paid them and I did it.
Yeah. But you should complain. I mean, they were awful. And yeah, Deirdre's absolutely right. I mean, what actually happened was that the solicitors didn't even come up with the redemption figure from the lender for completion. And had Deirdre not pushed them, actually, I'm not convinced we would have completed on time, because without that information, how can you complete? You can't redeem the mortgage.
Exactly. I know. They were awful. I was panicking the week of completion, and they kept saying, oh, it's going to be fine. And then I rang my mortgage company and said, well, we haven't actually received a request from them. This is like 3 days before completion. Yeah. So we could have been homeless, like literally, you know, because we could have, you know, we could have had to get out of our house and, you know, or not homeless, but maybe like we'd have owed thousands, because if you don't complete, the penalties are really high after you've exchanged.
Yeah, more likely it would be delayed, and you know, everyone would be inconvenienced, and this is what tends to happen, and it's just not on really. But it just goes to show the importance of getting a good solicitor. You know, the old adage in property buying, I always say, you know, buy cheap, buy twice, and that you found with agents. And I'd argue that if you had a chance, you would have, of course, changed your solicitor as well, because they were a large part of the delay.
Yeah, it was too late it was too late to do it, but I would have done it had I known how awful they were going to be. I would have done it like at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Definitely.
Yeah. And you know what? Now with hindsight, we've got that experience. And if people come to us with that solicitor, we're saying, hang on a minute, you know, honestly, we would advise you against using that person, that firm.
Yeah, exactly.
In our experience, they're not going to get you where you want to be in the time frame you want to be there. And you know, it's awful to have to cast those aspersions on people, but it's
a fact.
It's too important, isn't it?
Yeah. If I hadn't have been on top of them, I don't think it would have happened.
No, absolutely. I'm sure you're right. And, you know, the pressure of you and us combined, I think really helped to drive it on, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were honest. You were fantastic to deal with, and we all really enjoyed it. And I think, you know, you showed tenacity and patience throughout a difficult transaction. But we got there in the end. And I'm so happy for you and Igor and the boys that you're in your lovely new home. And it's just a shame that you can't invite the relatives over quite yet.
Oh, no, not yet, but hopefully soon enough. Yeah. Well, Easter Sunday, we can have like a few people because of the rule change, but out in the garden, like obviously.
In the garden, yeah. And you've got the bigger garden now.
Not family from abroad yet. No, that's.
Yeah. But that's coming. That's coming. We're getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Deirdre, thanks so much for coming on today, folks. Remember to log on to deirdrebiasini.com. She's a fantastic singer. If you want a singer to come and sing along in your garden for your birthday, for your anniversary, for your wedding, please call her, because she's local. She's a Norbury lady. She's got a great personality, as you can see. And more importantly, she's a fabulous singer. So do log on and get in touch with Deirdre if you need a singer. You won't regret it. Deirdre, thank you so much for coming on.
Ben. Take care.
And we wish you and Igor all the best. Stay safe and well. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.